What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today, with Squadrons only being roughly a week away at this point, I wanted to actually sit down and talk about the classes in the game, which ones I think are good or bad, and just try and give you guys a bit of insight into those classes so that on launch day you can hopefully have a bit of a better idea as to which class you want to try and use early on, so that you don't have to waste time trying to figure it out yourself. Now, before I get into it, I've noticed that over 70% of the views on this channel are from those of you who are actually not subbed to the channel, so if you're not subscribed, I would love it if you guys could hit that sub button down below and help us towards the goal of 100,000 subscribers. So my only knowledge of the game so far is from that very early playtest build of the game, so despite having played, just bear in mind that what I say in this video might not end up being the case once the actual game arrives. They may have changed a ton of things and the balancing might be completely different than what it was when we played the game, so just keep that in mind throughout the video. Obviously there are 4 different classes in the game, those being the Fighter, Interceptor, Bomber and Support. These classes all have their own roles within the game, with each of them having pretty drastic strengths and weaknesses that make them all completely unique from each other, and I really do mean that. They all play completely different from each other and they really do feel like they all serve a purpose. From the playtime I've had so far, I can tell you that in terms of getting used to the game and in terms of just simply getting kills, the Interceptor is absolutely the best class in the game in that regard. I think early on in the game's lifespan you're going to see a hell of a lot of people maining the Interceptor class because of how easy it is to pick up. It's so much more maneuverable than all the other classes, as well as just being a bit faster too, so it was definitely just a bit easier to get the hang of compared to the other classes. Like I said, the Interceptor class is mainly just for getting kills. You can probably consider the Interceptor class to be essentially playing the Slayer role for the team, doing their best to take out enemies and help their teammates by pretty much getting rid of the enemy team so that those teammates can focus on the objectives. Generally speaking, in multiplayer games, most people are going to focus on getting a lot of kills more than playing the objective. Hopefully that's different in this game due to the team-based sort of strategic nature of the game, but if that isn't the case, then like I said, I think the Interceptor will be the most used class in the game, pretty much the equivalent of the Officer in Battlefront 2, where everyone just used it because it was the easiest to use. Personally, I would actually advise against maining the Interceptor early on, not because it's a bad class or anything like that, it's easily one of the best, but mostly just because if you get too comfortable with it early on, I think it'll be extremely hard to transition to any other class later on after launch, and at that point you'll pretty much be stuck playing as the one class. Now, the Fighter on the other hand was pretty much referred to as the jack of all trades by the dev team. This class is really just a mix of all the classes in a way, and personally I think this is going to be the best one to start out as, just so that you're not too used to the Interceptor's maneuverability while still not struggling too much like you might with the Bomber or the Support class. The Fighter class consists of the X-Wing and the TIE Fighter, and obviously these are 2 absolute staples of the Star Wars saga, and we all know how often they are used in the movies. I think that actually will be the same in Star Wars Squadrons, at least down in the lower rankings, as they're just going to cover all areas and allow for the sort of less experienced players to just have less of focus on one specific goal and rather to just play the game and have fun. So I think these will end up being considered as the sort of casual class in a way. Now, that doesn't at all take away from the Fighter class. The class is really solid, and like I said, it just is the jack of all trades. So it doesn't really excel in any one area, but it also doesn't really have any glaring weaknesses either. So it's a great trade-off if you're not wanting to have glaring weaknesses like some of the other classes have. The weaknesses I'm referring to are things like the lower health in the Interceptor, for example, or the terrible maneuverability that you would get in a Bomber, which is definitely something that I struggled with a bit in the playtest. The Bomber class is pretty much essential to the team when it comes to fleet battles. I don't think you're really going to win many games if you don't have at least one Bomber on the team in that game mode, as they deal easily the most damage out of all the classes, having a crazy amount of time to fire their blasters before overheating, as well as the ability to drop heavy payloads on those capital ships. The area that they really lack in though is that speed and maneuverability, like I said, as they're just incredibly slow and have a really bad turning circle. So if you're all about fast paced and agility, then I don't think the Bomber class is for you. Now, it's not quite as bad as I'm probably making it sound. They can be changed around quite a bit in the customization department in order to make them a bit more agile, so I'd recommend still giving them a go just for the fact that, like I said, I think they're going to be pretty much 100% necessary in order to win a game of fleet battles. Now, the last class is the Support class, and they too are going to be pretty pivotal when it comes to winning, if not actually more important than the Bomber class, depending on the shape of the team. Squadrons is a very hard, brutal type of game, and a lot of the time you're going to find yourself dying or just being completely helpless, but a good support teammate can really help with that, and I think the support player on the team is really going to be the glue that holds the team together. They can not only provide health to the team to sort of help everyone stay alive longer, but I believe they can actually use certain components like a tractor beam, for example, where they can literally trap an enemy in place and hold them there for a little bit so that one of their teammates can sort of come along and deal a ton of damage, if not just kill that enemy in one single strafe. I think once teams do start to play together a lot and figure out a bunch of the different sort of meta strategies, one of those strategies will probably be to go around in teams of 2 and have the support class pretty much trap an enemy in the tractor beam, and then have the Interceptor or the fighter come along and absolutely melt the enemy. So I do hope that Motive are keeping an eye out and balancing certain things like that which could ruin the game. Overall, I think each class really does serve a solid purpose. I think the Interceptor and the fighter will probably be the best to get the hang of early on, but then I think the support and the bomber class will also be the most pivotal to winning a game, and so I definitely would recommend not focusing too much on any one class early on, rather to sort of spread yourself out between them all and try and get a good idea of which one suits your playstyle the most. Leave a comment down below letting me know which class you guys are going to be running day one. For me, I can see myself ending up as a support main or maybe an Interceptor main, but I'm definitely keen to give them all a crack and try and master each and every class. That is going to do it for this one though, guys. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like down below, and if you are new, then consider subscribing to the channel with those notifications on. Thank you all so much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.
Crush them! Make them suffer!